An agenda of unrest is already planned and already on the calendar. There's actually a schedule for it from a group called Shutdown DC, and it's going to happen right around the election. So stick around for the rest of the video. We're going to talk about what this whole scheduled unrest situation is going to look like, and I'm going to give you the exact dates as to what is happening in DC according to this group. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about how there's a schedule of unrest already planned around the election. It no longer matters whether or not things happen a certain way on November 3rd. These people have already planned on their so-called unrest to make sure things happen the way they see fit, regardless of what the actual outcome of the election is. And there's a specific group called Shutdown DC that has actually put out a calendar of events, including training seminars for the people who want to get involved in basically hitting the streets and causing disruption on a wide-scale basis, okay? And I know we've all been preparing very hard for the lead up to this election, but I wanted to make everyone aware that everyone's preparing for it. Not just the people who are preppers or worried about what could happen to society if things start to fall apart, but also the people who actually want to push things over the edge. They're preparing as well, and that's why we need to stay prepared as best we can. So if you're preparing for what's happening, hit the subscribe button below because we have to stay informed, and I'm bringing this information to you so we can all be aware of what's going to be going on, especially in the Washington, D.C. region around November 3rd, okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of reading in this video because I want you guys to get the exact correct information, and I'm just bringing this stuff to your attention. I'm not trying to say one thing or another about this group in particular. What I'm trying to do is let you know what their plans are so you can plan and prepare more accordingly based on maybe your location, aka especially Washington, D.C., and if you're around the country, just to know what to expect and what could possibly occur because of what this group is planning and what they're scheduled for, okay? So, first and foremost, Shutdown DC. What is their mission statement? What is it they're about? Well, from their own website, here's exactly what it says. Shutdown DC uses strategic action to advance justice and hold officials accountable. We're a growing movement and we're getting ready for an uprising. Keyword uprising. Now's the time to get involved, so we're ready to hit the streets, okay? So their mission statement basically is saying that they're trying to have an uprising occur and they want to get everyone as involved as possible now so that when they're ready to go, they can hit the streets, okay? That's pretty much what it says. This is right off of their website. Look it up yourself. Now, their mission around the election is to basically, in their opinion, stop an attempted coup by the current president when they do not accept the election results. AKA, regardless of what really happens, their expectation is that the president is not going to accept these results and that they, as a group, are going to have to hit the streets and basically force government to accept what it is they believe should happen when those results are rejected by the person in power. So this is exactly what they're planning for. And they're running a bunch of different war game style scenarios to say, if this happens, here's how we react. If this happens, here's what we're gonna do. They're doing a lot of simulations to try to prepare for different scenarios and different outcomes. But their main mission is to prevent this attempted coup of the United States government by the sitting president if they do not accept the results of the election. So, widespread disruption is the way that they are going to try to advance this coup. This is exactly, or stop this coup from happening, I mean. This is exactly their plans. Widespread disruption on a large scale. So, keep that in mind, okay? So, what does that mean? What is their plan when it comes to this large-scale, widespread disruption? Okay, they want to shut down the White House, aka blockade it. Don't let people in or out. Surround it by basically human bodies, protesters. Make sure that there can't be any traffic there and cut them off from the outside. Good luck with that, but that is the plan. They also want to shut down traffic. They want to shut down or at least surround government buildings. They want to even possibly surround and shut down Amazon fulfillment centers so that people that don't live in the areas that they are protesting in are still affected by it just the same. And that's something that we have to prepare for. It's not just about the mail, it's not just about the pandemic, it's also about people specifically targeting fulfillment centers and distribution centers to make sure we can't access what we need in different parts of the country so that we are just as affected by these protests or by these events or whatever it is you want to call it, unrest. We're just as affected as anybody else who's in the immediate area. So keep that in mind. These are specific things that they are talking about, okay? Now, if training and protests scheduled, and there's a calendar on their website of these different simulations, trainings, and protests that they plan to participate in. And we all have to be at least aware of these things because there's literally a calendar produced for us to be able to see what it is they're planning so that we can know and understand what the extents of what it is they're trying to do could possibly be, okay? And this is exactly why we have to help each other out, because if I hadn't caught this article and then looked into it further based on their website and everything else, then maybe some of us in this community wouldn't even know this exists. So that's why we try to share this information. Make sure you comment below if you hear of other things similar to this, but this is me sharing this with you. So here's exactly what their calendar is saying, and here's what you need to know, okay? October 23rd, okay? Today. Timeline to a Meltdown 2020 election is the event that they have scheduled, okay? It's basically a simulation as to what could occur during the election and how they're going to react to it. So they're already practicing, and we've already missed a lot of dates where they've been practicing and training up to this point. But this is up to date and current as of this time, okay? So, also on October 23rd is to find your group, okay? Find your crew Affinity group meetup. That is another event they have scheduled right now where they're trying to get people together to keep building groups and building these crews in order to be ready to go and hit the streets at a moment's notice, okay? October 24th, okay? October 24th is Street Smart's direct action training in person. So what does that mean? I don't know exactly, but I have an assumption that it means they're gonna learn how to behave while they're out on the streets and what it is they should or should not engage in. And they're going to do it in person, which means there's going to be a lot of simulated trainings happening, I assume, in urban areas. So just keep that in mind because we might see some of these protests happening now that are actually simulations for what's to come. Things to consider, okay? October 26th, Direct Action 101 with Black Lives Matter DC. So they're now going to be working with other organized groups that are also known to demonstrate and protest and bring the same style of scenarios out to the streets. And they're going to be basically working together to try to figure out ways to make this whole movement more effective. So that's what's happening on October 26th, okay? October 27th, Street Smarts and Direct Action Training, okay? So more training. They're trying to get street smarts. What's that mean? Well, how to interact with law enforcement, how to deal with civilians, how to deal with the opposition. All those things are going to be part of their plan, I'm sure. And of course, they know exactly what's going to happen. So they know there's going to be things like tear gas, pepper spray, all that stuff. So imagine some of the training there that they're trying to put together. And keep in mind, this is a good reminder for how organized these people are and what kind of training they're trying to provide. How much of this style of training has your group done recently? Because I know I haven't done as much training as what these people have listed right this second. So keep that in mind because it's definitely something we have to consider when preparing for whatever might occur, okay? November 1st, Street Smarts and Direct Action Training in person, as well as protest photography training, okay? So November 1st, 2 days before the election, they're gonna meet in person and do more Street Smarts training, okay? Just imagine what that could possibly mean. They're also gonna work on their protest photography training, which means how do they capture the moment? How do they get the protest to be seen in the best light possible via photography training? How are you going to photograph this protest so that it gets the message across but doesn't damage the movement in the process? Consider that. They're actually worried about the optics as well, and that's something that we all have to consider no matter what it is we do. So, the last thing on the calendar that matters, and this is where we need to really pay attention, November 3rd through January 5th. So they're planning on 2 months straight of potential disruption, okay? Widespread, large-scale disruption is literally what it says when we're talking about what their plans are. And November 3rd through January 5th is 2 months of that they are planning for, which is on their calendar right now. So this is what you have to remember. It's called After You Vote, Hit the Streets. That's it, plain and simple. After you vote, hit the streets. That's what they're gonna be doing for 2 months straight, according to this group, okay? Don't take my word for it. Google it, go look at their website, check it out. It's all right there for you. And this is me bringing it to your attention because we have a calendar, a schedule of planned unrest right in front of our eyes, ready for us to be prepared for. And if we're preparing for unrest, we're preparing for the possibilities of SHTF scenarios surrounding the election and everything else that's going on in our world right now, why would we not take a look at something like this calendar and say, okay, well, here's a date, here's a date, here's a date, here's an extensive amount of time where things are being planned to be done during that amount of time. I have to prepare. Do you think you're going to get every Amazon order you order if it comes out of a warehouse in an area that's affected by this group? You let me know. Do you think things are going to take a turn for the worst if a blockade of a governmental building that's important, where people have to leave and have to have traffic in and out of in order to accomplish daily tasks for governance, do you think that's going to go well, or if it's going to take a turn for the worst? Let me know in the comments below. But these are the planned actions that are in place, and this is the calendar that we have to work with for what their plans are. Just wanted to bring it to your attention. Please help each other out, communicate with each other, and keep everybody informed of any of this kind of information that comes out, because we all need to stay on top of it and know exactly what's happening. So if you have any questions for me, leave it in the comments below. This is all really happening, and the group Shutdown DC is posting this calendar for everybody to see so that we can know what their plans are. And now we know, at least for what it says right now, 2 months of unrest and disruption are planned and ready to go come November 3rd. So everybody who thinks preparing for November 3rd doesn't really make a big deal or make a difference, or doesn't really have any reason behind it for why anything may or may not occur during that time, here's some more evidence for you. Just hoping that this will help more people get better prepared. So now, anything else to say about what's going to happen come the next couple of months? That's going to be it for Magic Prep.